Let's go on a road trip. My mom and my aunt planned a trip to Washington D.C, New York City, and Philadelphia with my grandmother, my uncle, and my 2 cousins. We flew into Washington D.C. and then we rented a car so that we would be able to travel to the rest of our destinations on the trip. Once we picked up our rental car, we drove to the hotel to drop our stuff off, and then we made our way to the Lincoln Memorial to walk around the monument. Something I've never realized was how steep the stairs were leading up to the monument. Going up the stairs is fine, but when you're going down them, they're so steep that you feel like you're gonna fall at every step. So if you're visiting this monument, just make sure that you're careful and take your time going down these steps. There's also a ramp on the side of the Lincoln Memorial, so if you are unable to walk upstairs or you use devices that help you with your mobility, this is a great option for you, and I think it's very inclusive for everyone to be able to enjoy the monument. Or if you're like me and you don't want to risk falling down the stairs, the ramp is also a great option and it allows you to get great pictures of the monument as well. Since it was about to start raining, we made our way to the car and we drove around the different monuments in the city. The next day, we drove out to New York where we spent 2 nights there. Before we walked around Times Square, we made our way to Rockefeller Plaza to visit the Nintendo store. I really enjoyed visiting the Nintendo store on my last trip, so I wanted my cousins to be able to visit it as well because they're also big fans of Nintendo. After we were done shopping, we made our way to Times Square so we could walk around for a bit. Now, this is the part of the trip where I want to be honest with you guys because I don't want to just say, oh, I enjoyed this or I enjoyed that. I want to be honest and open because that's why I make these videos about traveling. My opinion is something that you may not agree with, and that's completely okay. I'm not the biggest fan of Times Square, mainly because of how crowded it is. There's a lot of people going every which way, getting where they need to go on very narrow streets. You also want to make sure that you're not in anybody's way and that you're in a safe place to stand and take pictures and look at everything. If you've been to Times Square and you've enjoyed it, that's great. If you don't like crowds like I do, that's just something to keep in mind, is like Times Square is not the best place, but there's other places in New York that might be better to visit. But that's just my opinion. You are entitled to your own, and that's okay if you don't agree with me. After we were done walking around the city, we got back in our car and we drove around Central Park and other places in New York. I really like how the city is lit up at night, and that made for such a great view in the car. The next day before we went back to New York, we stopped at Patterson Great Falls National Historical Park. This is a free park that has a nice view of the waterfall, and it's very spacious and not very busy at all. Some people were even having picnics at the benches provided, and overall it's just a nice place to go and relax and see the waterfall. After we were done with the national park in Jersey, we made our way back to New York so that we could visit the 9/11 memorial. They had the names of all the people who passed away engraved into the panels above the pool. The pools weren't operating at this time due to maintenance, so that's why you don't see any of the water flowing. We walked across the street to a place called the Oculus. At first glance, I thought it was like a piece of art, like an art monument of some sort. From the exterior, it looks very small, but once you go inside, this place is massive. There's hallways upon hallways of different stores, and there's also a subway station inside. The next day, which was also my birthday, we drove down to Philadelphia from New Jersey. We first went to Alfred's Alley. Alfred's Alley is one of the oldest residential areas in the US, and people still live on this street till this day. Imagine just looking out your window and you see all these tourists on your street. In Alfred's Alley, they feature a museum which takes a look into the place of Jeremiah Alfred's home. Jeremiah Alfred's home is from the early 1700s, and you were able to go inside and see how they lived their day-to-day lives in that time period. We decided to walk to the restaurant that we were gonna have dinner at. We got to see all the monuments and different buildings in Philadelphia, and it was also really nice outside, so it made it even better. The restaurant that we decided to have dinner at was called Iron Hill, and it was delicious. They had dishes for everybody to be able to enjoy. The servers were really nice and attentive, and we really enjoyed our time there. And my family sang happy birthday to me there, and I really enjoyed it. After we were done with dinner, we walked around some more and we made our way to JFK Plaza, which is also known as Love Park. I was able to convince my family to take a picture under the love sign. They originally just wanted to walk past it, but because it was my birthday, I was able to convince them to take a photo, and the photo came out really nice. I'm really glad we took one. It's one of my favorite photos now that I have of them. The last day of our trip, we drove back to Washington D.C. from Philadelphia to be able to return our rental car, and then we also had to catch our flight. I had a lot of fun on this road trip. It reminded me of road trips when I was younger with my family. We used to drive from Orlando to Connecticut or Massachusetts. I remember all the kids would sit in the back of the van and we would play our DSs and watch movies on like DVD players. It was a lot of fun then, and I'm glad that we were able to kind of recreate some of those memories now that we're older and we don't really hang out as much anymore. But I'm really glad that we were able to do this trip. I had a lot of fun, and I'm glad I was able to celebrate my birthday with them, and I had a great time. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!